Welcome to the DFL Breakdown, presented by GrizLeeGear, with your hosts, Lucas Ford and Ricky Epperson.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the DFL Breakdown, the number one cartoon side character themed, league-specific, weekly fantasy football podcast in the world. We're back strong. It's me and my boy Ricky here. How's it going, brother? Good to have you back.
Oh, I'm good. I was pointing to myself with my thumb, but I think it may look like a thumbs down. I am good. The sorcerers are up, so I am up. I'm getting the jump on my vacation over here. It's good. Great things to come. Great things have been coming. It's we up.
We up, that's right. Great things happening for both of us here last week and this week coming. For everyone who's unaware, we're heading to Jamaica this week. A lot of the games we'll be playing, well, we are on the beach on an island here, and I'm having my wedding out there, so very excited for that. So a little bit of wedding celebration will be happening, and we may miss some games, but that's okay. We're still going to be laying it down in fantasy land in the DFL and getting it done. Regardless here, we got plenty of games to talk about from this last week that were exciting, and all the games that are going to happen while we're out there are still just as important for the rest of the DFL, so got to take a look at how that's going to go going forward. But of course, we got our Game Breaker segment to start off the show, so why don't we just dive right into that here and get going with the DFL Breakdown. Let's do it.
I'm coming! Here I come! Game Breaker.
All right, let's take a look at the report here. I gotta just quickly point out the Dinsdale Ball Hogs with the Best Team Award at the top. Exciting stuff that we'll get to in a little bit here. But first, we gotta talk about the Game Breaker. It's Caleb Williams coming in for Chris, the backup quarterback drafted for him. Joe Burrow goes down, and Caleb Williams gets put in and puts up 37 points versus Dallas in a big win for the Trap House, bringing him to 2-2-2 so far on the season. One of the more unique records I've seen in the Dimmadome, but a crazy performance from Caleb. What did you think about that, Ricky?
No, I think that Joe Burrow was never leaving his starting lineup, and I don't think Joe Burrow is dropping 37 points this week. I don't even remember who since he played. Maybe Jake Browning was the real issue here, but I don't know. I think Caleb Williams ends up on your bench with 37. Maybe Burrow drops like 25 and you feel okay about it, but I don't know if 25 would have been enough for him here. We'll look at that here in a little bit, but Caleb Williams doing his thing. Ben Johnson, Dallas, leaky defense. Great start. Great player, and I don't know, could be Caleb's year. Could be talking about him a lot more as we go on.
That's true, especially with Joe Burrow being out of the picture for Chris. It looks like it's going to be Caleb Williams going forward unless something drastic happens. So the Dallas defense has looked beatable all year. Could be a one-time thing or could be a theme going forward. But in either case, I'm sure we're going to find out with Caleb Williams in the Trap House. Before we move on to the rest of Chris's matchup, we had a couple other players to shout out here. Jonathan Taylor going nuts for Alex. He's been going nuts all season. He looks great. The Colts look great. I thought this was, when we might see the cracks start to come in, not necessarily because the Titans were an amazing team, but just because getting 3 solid weeks out of Daniel Jones in a row has been a myth up to this point. So seeing it in action was pretty nice to see, and Jonathan Taylor being a big part of that. The Colts are looking legit there. We also had a big performance out of Garrett Wilson for Artie and Dalton Kincaid for Artie as well, both instrumental in his wins, which we will get to here. But why don't we go to our score summary and talk about it in full. We'll start with Chris's matchup and how Caleb Williams broke the game open for him.
Score summary.
Alright, we got the Tampa Trap House versus the Basketball Americans taking home the 2-0 win with Caleb Williams at the helm. James Cook was also a big performer for him in that Thursday night game against Miami, who looked competitive against the Bills, looked a lot more competitive than anyone gave them credit for, covered the spread for any of you Vegas gamblers. And really it ended up being a good game. So those Bills performed for him. He got Khalil Shakir going, he got James Cook going. But other than that, other than a standout performance from Nick Bonito, it was really a middling performance from the rest of his team here, including only 8 points out of Ladd McConkey. So on a week where 133 was the median, getting 141 after a 37-point week out of your quarterback, yeah, it was important for him.
Yeah, I mean, a 16-point game here from Joe Burrow or a lesser QB, could have sunk his ship here, because Riley on the other side made a huge Monday night surge. Lamar Jackson and David Montgomery being a big part of that. Not a lot of people started David Montgomery, but Riley sure did, and he got almost 30 points out of him. If Derrick Henry had been in form, maybe he makes the extra push. I could see Derrick Henry putting up another 15 points here pretty easy, 25-point week, and all of a sudden the Tampa Trap House is down to 0-4, which wouldn't have felt good, or maybe it would have been like 1-3-2 math. So he needed everything he could get. Caleb, big help for him. Even the little things like Khalil Shakir getting his touchdown is a big deal. And then on Riley's side, not a bad overall turnout for his team, but again, a couple of standouts and a whole lot of mid going on. Feels like consistency isn't something that's really shown up in 2025.
Yeah, it's been a problem all over the place, but especially for Riley here. He started with A.J. Brown as well. Talk about someone that's been inconsistent this season. He's been trying to move things around to get it done. Keon Coleman was instrumental for that week 1 win for him, but since then it's been downhill. He's been getting single-digit performances out of them, despite seeing all of the success for the Bills on the other side of his matchup here. So I'm sure that's frustrating. Like you said, that huge Monday night surge ended up making this one competitive, but God, living with this one during the weekend, Sunday into Sunday night, and then at work all day Monday, just like, damn, man, my team sucks. If you're Riley, you're looking at it, you're like, this went terribly for me, and then you had some monster performances at the end to bring it back, but this one's got to hurt hard, and he missed the median. It's another 0-2 week. He's trying to make the changes, and it's still not getting done for him, so I'm sure he's just praying for Derrick Henry to hold on to the ball in the future.
Yeah, hey, that would be a big help. I don't know. Henry probably turns it around here. Him and Lamar will get into it a little bit on the sidelines. That's heat of the moment stuff, though. I wouldn't overreact to that too much, but Henry's a feature back and a big part of this offense, and 10 points is simply not okay. I mean, he got into the end zone, right? Eesh. Yeah, that's tough.
Yep.
But hey, congrats to the Trap House. I like the fact that he got to the 2-2-2 score line. I think that's good content. It's good fun, and he gets to carry that into week 4.
Yeah, he's gonna have a lot of unique looking records moving forward, just having those 2 ties tagged on to the end of it. But equivalent to a 3-3 record. And kind of puts him right in the middle of the road, but aesthetically the 2-2-2 I think is cool as well. Riley moving down to 2-4 on this one. We'll see where that puts him in the standings when we go over that later, but never great to take 2 losses there. Let's move right up to the Chins versus the Cosbys. This is one that I made a personal prediction on last week, despite my best judgment, and I was completely wrong as usual. The Cosbys took this one home convincingly, winning by about 14 points here, taking the median win home, and Lehman just barely missing it, man. Just becoming the Lee median. Goes from on top to right underneath the middle in a big kind of slingshot week for the Chins. And, there's a lot of blame to go around for him. Isaiah Pacheco has been terrible so far this season. He's caught running backwards on some screen passes this week, had his hips turned the completely wrong way, caused some fumbles, threw away a potentially live ball on a backward pass the same play, too. It was just there was a lot of problems with what's going on with Pacheco, and Hunt looks like the better back out of the two when they get the opportunity there. Neighbors bad in that game as well, and even though he had some big hits at the bottom of his lineup here, it wasn't enough to make up for those guys.
It's a solid week from the Chins, like you were saying. Just a little shaky up top. I mean, that's 5 reds in a row. It's hard to kind of come back from that. He's 0.6 off of the median here. I mean, Malik Neighbors could have got there with just another grab. He was targeted often enough, but Russ, no quality there. And Green Bay got sat on by Cleveland. So anywhere where he could have made up those 0.6, and then just the head-to-head matchup, I think he had plenty of room to come up another 14 points here. It just, unlucky. Cosby actually kind of looked like, he had a down week looking at his top half as well. His running backs didn't produce much, too much, and his quarterback wasn't a stud. His IDPs didn't light it up, but he had a nice solid middle chunk that was enough to take it away. I mean,
yeah,
St. Brown and Collins.
His stars
Wilson.
really just showed out for him with 20-plus point performances. Yeah, Garrett Wilson, even with Tyrod Taylor in, putting up a touchdown on 10 receptions, he's just proven time and time again he is open and you can throw him the ball. He doesn't care who's playing quarterback. That dude will take 13 targets in his sleep, man. That's just run-of-the-mill Garrett Wilson stuff. Nico Collins finally putting a good game together despite having a slow start. The Texans still lost that game to the Jags, but a good play for Nico regardless. And Amon-Ra St. Brown still just being instrumental in that Lions offense. So good solid performances out of those guys for him, and even a big game out of Kincaid as well. Really just carried him to a 146 point performance in a 2-0 week, bringing him to 6-0 so far.
Yeah, I mean, good draft from him. He went the 0 RB route here. St. Brown, Collins, and Wilson off the board to get the start going, and then Walker and Swift are great because K9 finally got his backfield to himself for the week, and he looks okay. He looked good. That was a pretty big stomp against New Orleans, but I know it was Seattle's defense that did a lot of the heavy lifting. Yeah, a lot of PPR guys here that are helping him out, and already look strong, and I don't see a ton of variance, at least in his wide receiver core going forward, because all those guys get plenty of volume.
Yeah, if he feels any disappointment from his running back production too, he can always move Kenneth Walker up and slap Olave and talk about another PPR guy. It seems like he hit on a lot of those in the draft, and even though he loses Bosa for the season this week, takes home the 2-0 and has plenty of depth. I mean, he still has Nick Cross on his bench as an option as well. So no lack of options for him. Still looking solid moving forward as our number one team. And another tough loss for the Chins, bringing him to 3-3, moving him to the middle of the standings as well. Let's talk about your matchup here versus the Bowers of London. Another week performance from Eric here versus a 6th place finish, just barely squeaking into the median for the Sorcerers on the back of a great performance from Drake May.
Hey, my top half, look at it. It's beautiful. It's Drake May doing everything I want him to do. It's Jordan Mason producing. Christian McCaffrey's in here. No touchdowns, no problem. Don't look at Brian Thomas. Just keep scrolling. But it's it was a good week. We did eke out the median win just barely, as 0.6 points to was the difference between me and Lehman. And I got it on Monday night from JMO, and the James Conner start wouldn't have got me there. Would have been just shy. And shit, man, like I skated in, but it's still a 2-0. I'm feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome up here at 5-1 right now, but that's okay. We're adapting, and having that record behind me gives me the sort of levity to adapt the way I want to. So we're feeling good. And I wanted Eric early in the season because of reasons like this. I think he probably would have played Dylan or something here in week 3 and got a head-to-head matchup win, and I would have been like, curses. Why? Why is 114 getting a W here? But shoes on the other foot now.
He did get a lot of those 1-1 weeks under the median versus a low scorer last year, and it did help him greatly. So, yeah, good to see him getting punished for a lower performing week here. You did, like you said, have some great performances out of your top guys. You got Jamison Williams in, and you called your shot on that one, even in the statement that you wrote into me, despite not being able to make it onto the pod. You said he was going to drive the nail in the coffin for you in on Monday night, and he did. He just barely got you there, but he did get you there, and then he was like, cool, I'm all set. I'll move on. I'm just going to take a quick nap on the bench while the rest of this game plays. And that was fine for you. But you also got Paulson Adebo in, fresh off the waiver wire. That's our
Waiver Warrior.
2 in a row for Ricky here. Just going to be rolling in Dunkin' Donuts gift cards. I think I'm just going to have to combine them into a big one for you now. Unless you get another waiver warrior in a row here, might have to just keep that tab rolling. But in any case, a good week for you, and we talked about how it was a weak performance for the Bower of London, but let's look at it a little bit closer here. Patrick Mahomes only getting 13 points against the Giants. 2 fumbles. I mean, the Giants defense looked good. He chucked the ball up a couple times and got some success there, but other than that, that's not a great completion percentage. Only 1 passing touchdown. It was just kind of a run-of-the-mill offense game, and really carried by their defense against a poor functioning Giants team. So no big Mahomes week there. Drake London been struggling, shut out by the Panthers. Did the Falcons get this week? Miserable performance from them. Penix got benched in the middle. He just looked hopeless and lost. And I mean, what does that mean if you're holding Drake London? You're scared at this point. DJ Moore finally got his projections, but that's a change for what he's been doing so far this year. Just not a lot to build off of if you're Eric. I'd be scared for a lot of different reasons. Brock Bowers hasn't really been himself since the knee injury, wearing the big knee brace, limping around on the field after plays, man. Like, it's scary, dude. What do? You just fire up Michael Pittman and say that's going to fix my problems?
Yeah. Well, I think he tried Pittman last week and it bit him. So is that the Trap House? No, the Trap House was the first week. They went 0-0-2. That's right. But yeah, Saquon Barkley also not doing Saquon Barkley things right now. It's a hard-fought win for them, and 18 carries for 46 yards is simply not good. And 4 receptions for 9 yards is also bad. They bottled them up. The Rams said, beat us without Saquon, and then Hurt said, fine, I'll throw it to A.J. Brown.
Fine. Gosh, I guess I'll throw it.
Golly, dude. So I don't know. I think probably brighter days ahead for Barkley and Mahomes. I'm also still kind of, I think London Bridge isn't exactly following here. We'll see. Terry, you read the news on the Terry stuff. Is it soft tissue? Is it bad? Is it weeks? Well, I haven't checked in.
It's a quad injury. So that's his thigh. I'm not a medical doctor, but I believe that means that's his thigh.
You're
And
right. Yeah.
he's going to see in the last report was he's going to see an independent core specialist to look at the muscle problem in his thigh.
Oh, he's going to Germany. He's
He's
seeing the same
he's going
CDC
the
guy.
Germany route, which historians will tell you not normally a good thing. When they're seeking additional help from outside the training staff and the facility and everything for injuries, that means that it's serious enough for them to be like, I need to do something extra about it. That's concerning. That means Terry McLaurin's at least going to be out this week. He's not playing this week. So you put Pittman in there. But that's not fixing any of your other problems. You're just hoping everything else just turns out better and it was a bad week. But,
Yeah, it could just be a dip week. I mean, look, he was projected to beat me there, 151. When I pulled my my Jameson Williams shot, I was hurting myself and putting myself lower in projections and stuff like that. It felt bad, felt wrong, was right. That's right. And
That's
it was
right.
everything I needed to be. We suffered a James Conner loss. RIP. See you next. I don't know if he's coming back next year, but RIP James Conner. That injury was brutal looking. I had Russ on here just as a science experiment that didn't go well. Call me Brian Dable. And then, yeah, just we're trying stuff out. We're experimenting over here. And like I said, I have that 5-1 record giving me the levity to figure it all out. Haven't completed any trades. I feel weird and uninspired. Not to talk about me too much longer. Let's move on.
yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the 69ers versus the retarded YNs. It's Dylan versus Alex. Where Alex pulled out a median win that wasn't much farther off of yours here. An uninspiring performance from Dak. And CD Lamb going out with 0 points after suffering a high ankle sprain early in that game. But he was carried by the rest of his team here. Jonathan Taylor looking great, like we talked about in the Game Breaker segment. He also got TJ Watt putting up 21.5 for him. AJ Brown finally putting up numbers shortly after he was acquired by Alex here. Which is good for Alex, getting him the win, 109 yards and a touchdown, and Kyron getting a touchdown as well. Some people showing some concern with him not having 100% of the backfield anymore, not being a full volume play, but still getting a lot of those high value targets and still getting you the touchdown this week, even though they lost to Philly in that one.
Yeah, and he needed it all to get there because again he wasn't that high above the median, maybe 4 points, and it all came down to Laporta on Monday night here. 7.3. That's good enough for the median win there. Knock Lehman out. Stressed me out a little bit too. But once I was past Lehman, it was But I didn't know that at the time. I was stressed out anyway. But yeah, I was watching Laporta the whole time. 4 for 4 for 53 yards. Not a stellar tight end week, but kind of like JMO, he got what he needed to, and then whatever. The rest is whatever.
Yep. Yeah, and it was just barely enough to get him over the line. But when you're playing against the median at that point, you're already pretty happy with how the week went. And Dylan just didn't really put up much of a fight here. 110 points for him. Another poor week from Bo Nix. A lot of overthrows this week, just missing his targets, and it ended up costing him there. Josh Jacobs not getting the touchdown, also fumbling the ball. Getting involved in the passing game, which is cool. You like to see that. Travion Henderson should have got more opportunity in that game, but didn't. I'm sorry, what was that?
I said 5 of 9 for receptions for Jacobs. That's crazy. That's great.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that.
Yeah, it's a shutout, but those are the kinds of targets you want to see for your running back. It's like having a wide receiver there for free. And yeah, Henderson got 50% of the opportunity. It's not enough. Ramondre proved he put really put his exclamation mark at the end of not me. It's not me. It's the other guy. So I'm sure we'll see him more going forward. But this is Jamar Chase in a Jake Browning offense. Yikes, not great. I mean,
Yeah,
5 of 6 for 50 yards isn't terrible, but there's no touchdowns coming. You know?
it was a terrible game for the Bengals. A lot of fumbling, just fumbling the ball out, just in the same way the Patriots did over and over. The Minnesota defense just really punished them, and they couldn't get a lot going there. And Jamar Chase definitely suffering as a result. They, still force him the ball as much as they can, and he only got 9 points. T. Higgins owners are just suffering right now. But yeah, Jamar Chase down bad there. Hunter Renfrow putting up only 2.6 points. Chig was good. Devontae Smith was great for him. He also got 8 receptions for 60 yards and a touchdown. And Quinshaw Judkins has been a real great looking pick for him, it turns out, despite all the early season confusion and drama and legal issues. He's just been coming out on the field and putting up numbers. So that's what we care about here in fantasy. Again, not enough to get Dylan there, but some things that you can build on at the bottom of your lineup once you can get this cleaned up. This isn't something you expect from Jacobs every game. You expect more from him. I know Dylan has faith in Bo Nix, and we're all projecting an uptick in volume for Trey Henderson. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I said that's Jamar Chase with Browning, but that's probably Chase's floor. I mean, with a fumble and everything, he's probably good for 10 points a week. So, yeah, these top 4, I think they can go up. It's easy to put your faith in the target conglomerate and then get thrown back in your face later. But, you know, Worthy comes back. Hopefully it's not bouncing back next week, Luke. Spoiler alert for next week's showdowns.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll talk about it more later.
Yeah, and the latest reports I read was that he did a full practice on Wednesday, so it looks like he may. But in any case, we do have a little bit before we talk about that matchup. First, we got to talk about my matchup from this week, the last one from this past week that we are going to break down, and this ended up being the most exciting match of the entire week, if I do say so myself, between the then 11th and 12th place team, the Dimsdale Ball Hogs, and Team Joe Biden squaring off, putting up the 2 of the top 3 scores on the week. Already getting sandwiched right between us, even though there was barely a point between us here. Already managed to squeak in there. But yeah, I got that number 1 score. It came all the way down to Monday night. I mean, look at Gibbs getting him 26.9 points and almost getting him there. Roquan Smith, my dog, saved me on literally the last scoring play that happened for fantasy in that game, besides special team shenanigans and stuff for the Lions there. Roquan Smith came out at the 2-minute warning and stopped Gibbs personally from getting any more yards and secured that game for me. I was sweating it all the way through to Monday night. Everything had built up. I mean, the Keenan Allen and Omarion Hampton afternoon surprise, going from not really scoring a lot of points in the first half to just exploding with touchdowns for each of them in the second half and a ton of volume, really brought me back into this game. Ginkle with 2 sacks. I love my boy Ginkelberg, man, getting it done for me continually here. George Pickens taking over after CeeDee Lamb leaves that game. A lot of really good and exciting stuff for me here. And of course, Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things. And that leads to a top score on the week. I had some disappointment with Marv, and Harold was the wrong choice out of all the tight ends on my roster, but can't complain too much. I won, and it's a bad beat for Team Joe Biden.
Yeah, no, it stings because his team finally started to, his big players were swinging this week. Jalen Hurts, high value draft pick. He puts out his big 35-point week. Jahmyr Gibbs didn't disappoint. Tyreek Hill, even with 15.9, he's showing signs of life. Chase Brown, that Bengals offense really, really struggled against Minnesota. Maybe they don't do it so much against lesser defenses. I think Minnesota is particularly strong. Mike Evans going out early with an injury, that's rough. That's probably the difference. I think Mike Evans gets another 2 points that game. Um, Kyle Pitts, the memes, the belief, is he real? Is he not? I watched. I think it was the very opening play of the Falcons game. It was 7-yard pass to Kyle Pitts, hit him right in the chest, and he dropped it. That's the game. That's the week. That's the 2-0. It just didn't happen. It really came down to the wire here. There were start sits on both sides that could have been better. Like you said, you started your worst tight end. He started his waiver pickup in Granderson. And listen, Hutchinson was a hero, and he would have scored you, all the extra points. It's all hindsight 2020, but the biggest piece of dog shit would have put you there. So
yeah, it didn't quite get there otherwise. And I mean, I even said on the podcast last week, I was like, I begged him to sit Ramondre, and he started in week 1, and he was terrible. And so he benches him week 2, and he puts up 20 points. He starts in week 3. I said, I'll let you draw your own conclusions from what's going to happen with that. But the pattern was that he was going to shit himself, and there it is, man. 2 fumbles lost. Basically single-handedly cost the game for the Patriots. Like it was
early too.
It was painful to see. One of them was in the end zone, and they lost by 1 touchdown. The Patriots turned the ball over in the end zone twice, and they only lost by 1 touchdown. So that was just a painful game to watch, and Stevenson was a really, really terrible part of that too. Brian Burns made it competitive, brought him back, revitalized Team Joe Biden. We literally gave him the paddles and brought him back to life after just a super early disappointment of just terrible performances in the 1 o'clock window. And yeah, he managed to put a week together with Jahmyr Gibbs and give me a run for my money, but didn't quite get there. I finally get some wins on the week, despite having the most points against again. Still continuing into week 3, I have the most points against. But got my 2-0 week and looking to build off of that. Team Joe Biden does get their first win. They go to 1-5. I think they're still technically tied for last place, though.
I don't think either of your records is really indicative of your team strength here. It goes both ways. I think that Team Joe Biden has a lot of bright spots here, things to build off of. But it's got to be built kind of patiently and without panic and just kind of knee jerking. You're currently staying the course. You've got your faith in your guys. You're expecting them to kind of develop late. You have a lot of rookies, so not going 0-6 here or 1-5 is a big deal for you and your rookies. But I hope both of you can keep your chins up and kind of make do with what you got, and brighter days ahead. Unless it's against me, then you guys should crash and burn. But keep your chin up, Nate. All good. Silver lining, 145, man. You were almost there.
Yeah, almost there, buddy. Well, let's take a look at the standings after that here. I did want to mention, you did see that Dylan had his points. This is why. He did submit a picture, him watching the game on Monday night again here. He got those points. He loves sending us the Monday night picture and making me sweat about it. And he's got his tongue out to an uncomfortable degree. It's not quite out. It's just a little bit out. What's the play? What do you do with that?
I think look at him. He kind of looks like a dad that's like looking down at his phone, and like he's also hung out. He's concentrating. He's like, how do I get this picture in?
It's even a little tiny bit blurry, like he didn't mean to quite take the picture yet.
Yeah. He looked like he answered a FaceTime call when he wasn't supposed to. It's like, oh shit, why is my camera on?
Oh, love you, Dylan. I can't wait to see you in Jamaica. I hope you have the poop hat on you, because you're gonna need it.
He is gonna need it.
Let's take a look.
Imagine he doesn't pack the poop hat and then he just gets a 0 on the
Just
week.
auto
'Cause, like,
forfeits
how's
the
he
week
supposed
against me. Oh, shucks,
yeah.
man. Oh,
Oh
hate to
boy.
do it to you.
Has to like put literal poop on his head to not lose zeros.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Here's the standings. I did cut off the Bill Cosby sleeper's name by accident, but we know what's going on. We can see it here.
You can see his eyes up
Yeah,
there.
you could see him looking into your soul. He's in first place, takes control of the lead here. Oh my goodness, we didn't even mention that the Retardinals got the median loss on that one because of the
Wet Noodle Fight of the Week.
Did we even talk about their matchup here? I think we skipped it. It's the Retardinals versus the Apple
We did
Bottom
not talk about
DeJeans.
this.
Yeah, we definitely didn't talk about it because, gosh, it was so forgettable. I almost forgot about it.
Wet Noodle Fight of the Week.
Yeah, wait. Was this the wet noodle fight of the week? One more time.
Wet Noodle Fight of the Week.
Welcome to the league, rookie. Welcome to your first wet noodle fight. It only took you 3 weeks.
He got
Sal's
the
been
win
dominant.
anyway. Yeah.
Sal's been dominant. He got the win here, but he's still wet noodle fighting 3 weeks in. So, chinks in the armor. But yeah, this was not great. Corey's team is struggling. The loss of Burrow for T. Higgins, Minnesota slow to start. Travis Kelce not looking great this season. And DK Metcalf has like kind of been a part of the defense. He is not featured though. He's kind of just like a guy that's there and is competent when Aaron Rodgers deems him worthy of receiving the football.
Yeah,
but they're not force feeding him or anything yet. Surprised that Shaheed put up any points when Seattle stepped on them like that. And Foyce Lukun for the first time this year, disappointing. I don't know, not great. Maybe Jaden Daniels comes back and kind of rights the ship here. Scatabo popped up, and it looks like he's here to stay. Achane still milks points out of any game. I don't know. We'll
he almost
see.
had a touchdown in that game too. He stepped out of bounds early, I think. But it looked like another one of those little screen passes that he just jittered his way past everyone and barely touched the sideline and got a touchdown taken off the board. But yeah, he's been great. Scatabo looks like he's going to be a huge part of whatever the hell the Giants are doing moving forward. That's still to be decided. We're going to see Jackson Dart this weekend. So that's cool, but yeah, whether or not that's going to be successful at all versus the Chargers this week is a different story. Speaking of Chargers, Herbert, yeah, a disappointing week from him numbers-wise. I mean, the Chargers won that game. They're 3-0 versus 3 divisional opponents. They're excited about what's happening there, and it's great to watch them play, so I'm not sure that Justin Herbert's going home like, gosh, I got to improve on what I did this week. But in any case, yeah, maybe he does get Daniels back or something else changes for him here. And maybe this was just a down week for a lot of his guys because he needs more than 114 to compete. We're in week 3 now. I haven't seen 114 be a winning score or anything close to the median so far, despite the really crappy, wettest of wet noodle fights. And that's where it's going to get you, Corey. Not quite enough for a W. Sal on the other side, he did get the win, but it was purely based on matchup RNG. It was a disappointing week from the Retardinals. Didn't get any good return at Ashton Genty versus the Commanders. Chuba Hubbard was somewhat disappointing. Finally stopped scoring touchdowns every week. Puka Nacua and Jackson Smith-Njigga were great, as usual, but a disappointing week from Tyler Warren, and even though the Panthers won 30-0, Tet McMillan didn't really do a lot for him either. So,
Chuba and Tet.
Yeah, both of his Panthers disappointing despite the smashing win. Tyler Warren, who's been so consistent, only 3 receptions for 38 yards, and one of his 3 set and forget IDPs, Diane Henley, put up only 3 points this week with 4 tackles. So maybe he's not going to be setting and forgetting him for too long. We'll see if he keeps him in this week or if that was a one and done situation. It was enough to get him the win here, so maybe he's not too upset about it, but does slide down to second place now off the top spot because of his
Wet Noodle Fight of the Week.
Gotta put it in again. All right, I think that does it now for all the matchups. Managed to skip that one by starting with the Trap House. They trapped me again, as they do to many unsuspecting Tampa crack whores or whatever the hell's going on down there. Okay, let's take a quick look at those standings real quick before we're off the rails already. Let's whatever. We got
I didn't say Tampa
Artie
crack
first.
whores, okay? That was this guy.
The Tampa crack whores, that's where they belong, in the Trap House with the rest of the YNs that are in there. And they are in, what, 6th place now? It's Alex in 3rd place. It's really just you, Alex, and Sal all tied for 2nd. It's all being decided by points 4 here. I'm sure these records will start to divvy up a little further as we get later on into the season, but we're going to kind of have clusters like this in the beginning for a little while longer, at least. Lehman standing alone at 3-3, just to disprove my theory, followed by another Singleton score at 2-2-2. They technically count as the same, but differentiated at least with the ties officially here. Chris in 6th place, just for points 4 there, followed closely by me in 7th. I'm at 2-4. And we're all kind of clustered together here. Me, the Basketball Americans, and the retarded YNs, all hanging out in one big gang. 7, 8, and 9 for us there. We've got the
guys you run with, huh? That's crazy.
That's the kind of guys that the Ball Hogs are hanging out with right now, man. Maybe they will move their way up out of the Trap House area and hang out with Bill Cosby up at the top here. But for now, that's where we are. And underneath all of that, we've got the 3 quote-unquote 1-5 teams. It's the Apple Bottom DeJeans, it's Team Joe Biden, and it's the Bower of London. He's technically 0-4-2. Which puts him in 11th place instead of 12th, but the way the display has been working with the standings, for some reason, it's swapping those around. So functionally, it's going to be Team Joe Biden in 12th. It's the Bower of London in 11th, and the Apple Bottom DeJeans in 10th there, rounding out the bottom of the standings. Okay, that's enough for the score summary here. We got a couple waiver moves to get into, some big names being picked up, some guys being competed for, some big production that was not captured this week on anyone's team, people trying to make those magic moves. Let's get to the waiver wire and find out what's going on.
Waiver wire and trades.
Okay, yeah, the big name on the block this week was Trey Tucker for the Las Vegas Raiders. He got 3 touchdowns. Some of them were in garbage time, in an absolute blowout loss, but those touchdowns count all the same in fantasy, and that's the kind of points that people want to get. It was a 40-point week for him, and that ended up being a big deal. It was Riley who ended up picking him up, and he needed him. He needs some wide receiver depth. He made a couple more moves this week, but did manage to land himself the hot commodity of the week in Trey Tucker. There was a couple other bids for it. Yeah, it looks like there was 4 bids here. I'm trying just to double check real quick exactly who else put in bids on that one. I think you did as well, right? And then
Nate, I think, was in there.
Gosh, I might have gone too far.
Daco might have been in there too, but
yeah,
Trey Tucker was not my first waiver guy, but I did put a bid in for him.
did put a bid in for him. I'll continue to look at what was put in for claims on that one, but there was another 4-claim guy in here. It was Darnell Mooney. A lot of people wanted to pick him up. And I got to be honest, I'm not 100% sure why. Did something specifically happen with Darnell Mooney this week that made him a hot claim?
He's back from injury, and also shouldn't have been on the waivers. I mean, Nate drafted him in the 16th round, kind of a steal. Didn't want to hold on to him for him to come back. Maybe saw that Michael Penix wasn't distributing the ball last week. It kind of feels like an outlier game. I don't think the Falcons get shut out every single week. But I think there's an interesting discussion to be had here between Trey Tucker and Darnell Mooney, right? I think Darnell Mooney is talented than Trey Tucker, but the Falcons are gonna be okay with just running the ball. It's effective for them. Bijan and Tyler Algier and the whole run game works for them. They don't have to win in the air. But Darnell Mooney is more talented. And then there's Trey Tucker, who is less talented, smaller, younger, maybe. But he's on an offense that's passing the ball. I think that they actually dropped down to the 5th highest pass rate after this week. But they can't run the ball. Ashton Jeanty has no room to run. The O-line stinks, so they have to throw it out. And if Trey Tucker is being force-fed targets because there's no other option, then again, the fantasy points all spend the same, right? Doesn't matter if you're Trey Tucker or Jamar Chase. If you're getting 9 targets, which is more than Jamar Chase got, you just have more opportunity to get points. So yeah, I think there's valid reasons for both claims. I have claims in for both of the guys. I just didn't have the waiver priority order, but I would have picked Mooney over Tucker here because I think he has better staying power.
Yeah, well,
That's
they're both definitely some interesting options here, and I know plenty of people are hurting for depth at wide receiver, so that's why these are such hot pickups. I did manage to find out exactly who it was. It was you. It was obviously Riley getting Trey Tucker. Chris put in a claim for Trey, and Eric also put a claim in for him. As for Darnell Mooney, it was Alex, it was Sal, it was you, and it was Nate, with Alex getting the successful claim there and dropping Dak Prescott after the disappointing start for him. Tyke picking up Ollie Gordon as some running back security, someone who was heavily involved in the game plan week 1. He looks like he has an opportunity in front of him to take over part of that backfield, even with Achane being so efficient. Hunter Henry was a big claim after a 2-touchdown day for him. Nate dropping Kyle Pitts to pick him up after he dropped Mark Andrews last week. He's just shelled both of the tight ends that he drafted and is going for the Hunter Henry angle here. I saw that you put in a claim for him trying to complete the stack, and Lehman was also chasing that. You 3 homers going for the Patriots guy that had a big day.
I just wanted the stack, okay? I've got Juwan Johnson going on, but Hunter Henry sounds like a good 2 to have on the team for the staff. But yeah, no, I mean you watch him catch 2 touchdowns, you watch him be a good safety outlet for Drake May. Like, yeah, the
Sure.
other pass options aren't great. Sure, maybe Hunter Henry's tight end 9 this year, right? Plausible, no harm in that.
Crazier things have happened.
But yeah, all these multi-claim things, I'm a part of all of them. I didn't get any of them, which leads to I made a mistake this week. I misplayed the waiver game. I was hoping to get one of those skill position players and then one of these, defensive guys. I have Derwin James here, and I don't think your screenshot even captures it, but I also picked up Brandon Johnson.
Brandon Jones, yeah. In fact, I cut it off because you dropped him shortly after, I believe. Or maybe you kept that guy.
I had dropped Derwin James
You dropped
after.
Derwin James. Well, either way, yeah, you made a couple other claims. You did get 2 IDP guys. Derwin James was one of them, but like you just said, you dropped him. There was Chris Rodriguez going to Lehman. He was uncontested. Kavontae Turpin going to Riley. He needed some more wide receiver depth like we talked about here. I think I took one little tiny screenshot of the next small part. Another IDP pickup for Riley, moving some things around, and he even picked up Tyquan Thornton as well, who's been getting a ton of volume from Patrick Mahomes. So He told us himself he has some interesting decisions to make, and spoiler alert, he hasn't made them yet, so I think we're going to attempt to make them for him tonight on the episode here, and see if we can't help him out with the correct choice moving forward. In any case, he also got Sterling Shepard picked up for Nate here, dropping Kyle Monangai. There were some other free agency moves as well. You made a flurry of moves after realizing you had kind of flubbed the way you wanted to order your waivers. So we're just going to kind of get into that. If I had to scroll through the chat and take screenshots of every single one of those individual moves, my phone would run out of memory. So I'm not doing that, and you can't make me. In any case, let's just go ahead and move on to the projection preview here. No trades to talk about in our waiver wire and trade segment. So we'll get right to the projections, and we'll pick up any of the other moves that have been made along the way. Let's do it.
Projection preview.
Oh my God, Ricky's gone. There he is! All right, let's do this. We got some matchups to take a look at here. Why don't we go ahead and start with mine? It's at the top, and it's the most important matchup of the week because I am getting married this week, and I say so, and I'm the commissioner, and you have to listen to me. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with this one here. We got Josh Allen versus the Saints. An easy team to beat so far in the league, but that's what's got me the most concerned. We've already seen the Bills bench Josh Allen in an absolute thrashing of the Jets. He did take I think a foot to the face in that one and had a busted up nose, so maybe they were more apt to give him some rest. But in any case, that's my worst nightmare here. Not that he doesn't play well, but that maybe he plays too well and the Saints don't get anything done. I got Marv still going out there for now. He's a short week. We're going to see him play tonight at home versus the Seahawks. An interesting matchup for sure. A divisional matchup, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. That's NFC West, right?
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
And he's going to be trying to redeem himself for those horrific drops that he had last week. I've kept him in. He was my number one wide receiver drafted for a reason. I believe in him, and I hope he's going to do it here. But we'll find out very soon. We got George Pickens going against Green Bay. That should be an interesting matchup with Micah Parsons coming home versus the Cowboys. And I got Jordan Addison coming back off suspension, going into my second flex spot. I've moved Travis Hunter down into the IDP position, and only putting Ginkle out there this week. Ginkelberg just being my sole only defense player, while I put out, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide receivers. That's a luxury that no one else has in the league, and I'm pretty excited about what that does for my chances.
You're a unicorn, man. That's the only one in existence right there. No, I mean, like you said, your issues with Josh Allen being too good could definitely come to bite you. But the rest of your slot here looks promising enough. I believe in your chances to take down Dylan in Paradise. Bo Nixon to Cincinnati is pretty scary. Josh Jacobson to Dallas. It's going to be like big Micah Parsons revenge game stuff going on. Doesn't really do anything for the other side of the ball, the side that Josh Jacobs plays on. But yeah, maybe Micah Parsons rips Dak a new one and puts the ball back in Jordan Love's hands constantly. But yeah, Trevion Henderson should be trending up. Jamar Chase, like I said, that was his floor game last week. Going up against Denver, he is going to be dealing with that secondary, which is very strong.
Very strong.
Maybe that can help. Hunter Renfrow into New England, that's tough. That's not what you want to be doing week 4, man. I don't know what happened, but that's not great. But hey, he's got Devonta Smith, Chiggin to Houston. Maybe. We'll see. I think it's fine. But he's got Quinshawn as his shining star down here. A couple of Browns. at the bottom of this turd. And the top half looked fine. It's just it's Chig and Renfro that are really not selling me on the win this week. But sometimes those fringe guys are like, no one started, Chigakonko this week, and all of a sudden he's got 38 points because he fell into the end zone 3 times. Like, it happens. That's
That does
fantasy.
happen.
But hey, it's your wedding, like you said, your wedding week. Dylan's gonna be sloppy drunk at the resort one way or another. So I'm hoping you're having a good time and winning this week. You get my official champions endorsement. Go out there and win this week, man.
I hope so. And one of the things that I thought about where you're saying that his nice Browns at the end, just it all concludes in the anal zone all the way at the bottom here. Anzalone getting the start at the end. Yeah, I'd like to have this be the cherry on top of a week in paradise of a dream wedding, and just have a nice little fantasy win over one of my groomsmen on top there.
Yeah, you
That'd be
don't.
pretty great.
You're saying that for a wedding present Monday night when you're getting married, you don't want Bo Nix dropping like 50 on you or something?
That would be kind of sad, yeah. But in any case, I'll have more important things going on. So if Bo Nix wants to drop 50, then I guess he can just go ahead and do that. But in either way, I'm interested to see if Dylan packed his poop hat, because it might not mean anything no matter what Bo Nix does if we don't get an island poop hat pick. I hope he's got space in his luggage. No excuses, Dylan. You signed up for this. You wanted that poop hat bad. And this is the consequence, buddy.
Yeah, he knew he was gonna have to wear the poop hat before he booked the trip. So
Oh, man. I can't wait. All right, let's talk about the AZ69ers versus the Retardinals. Alex is also going to be in Jamaica with us here, so we'll get to see how he fares in person as well. He is trying to take on the top scorer of the league so far this year with some of his top scorers. He's getting the Colt stack going. He's fully believing Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor working together. All the Colts touchdowns will be Alex's. We'll see if they can keep up their strong start against a stout Rams defense here. If they don't, that means Kyron Williams is running the ball a lot, so it seems like a win-win situation, or maybe they all limit each other in the end. He's not projected to win this one. He's projected to lose by 5, so he's definitely hoping that's not the case. It's a strong looking lineup for him. It's not like he has any weak spots or things I would change. Quentin Johnson has obviously been a surprise this season, but he seems to be established as someone that's going to get some volume and have a couple deep shots thrown to him during the game. What more can you ask for? Debo might get some extra work with Terry out. Jerry Jeudy might get some work against the Detroit defense, but I don't really know if I'd want to go with that. And his waiver pickup, Darnell Mooney, is an option as well. But personally, I think the way he's got it is probably his best bet. And even though he's not projected to win, he's got a good chance as any to pull it out. What do you think is going on in this matchup?
AJ Brown's a trap. Sorry. I think that yeah, looks good. No, I can't trust the Eagles, man. Like, they could win. I don't. So last year Tampa Bay kind of stung them, right? I don't. It wasn't in the playoffs. I think it was just before. Maybe they lost them their bye week or something like that. I can't remember. But um, you know, they showed up. They threw down, and Baker Mayfield has their number. They're in Tampa Bay. I don't know. They're depleted. They might have Chris Godwin back this week, but I don't know. Do you have to throw to AJ Brown here, or is it a Saquon game against a Tampa Bay? I guess we're gonna find out, and Alex is gonna be paying the most attention to out of all of us. But um, obviously, I don't think you sit AJ Brown, but I do think he's a trap. On the other side of it, though, Sal's got a Thursday night Kyler Murray short week into Seattle. At least they're at home. Seattle's pretty stout, but I don't think Sal has other quarterback options really.
Nope.
He does not. No, he's Kyler Murray, ride or die, ride or waiver.
Head
Anyway,
of the
um,
retardinals himself, Captain
that's
Dumbfuck
right.
Kyler Murray.
That was his name before he drafted Kyler Murray, so maybe it was always his goal here. But um, G team to Chicago, their defensive ends aren't really as potent as some of the other teams they've played against. So maybe he gets some space to run. Um, you got Hubbard and Tet going against New England. Um, you know, for our sake, we hope that New England doesn't turn into Swiss cheese for them. But same time, I think we might all depends on Gonzo and whether or not he plays and can shut down Tet. Puka Nakua in Indy again, another Ram Indy player. Big kind of implications for this matchup. Uh, Seattle versus Arizona down there again. It's JSN into Arizona, so a lot of key games. Tyler Warren part of that Colts matchup as well. It's not very spread around here. A couple oddballs here and there,
You've
like
got Tet
like your
going
Jet
too, yeah.
and your 49er here. But a couple games they're really gonna want to be paying attention to here. Um, yeah, it's all over the place
It's just
here.
everyone's all on the same team. He's even got Trey Benson on his bench. If he decides he does want to fire him up for tonight, he could get that going in this game too. Just a couple consolidated teams holding all the action, holding all the cards for the Retardinals and the 69ers this week. The Rams, the Colts, and the two teams tonight playing, the Cardinals and the Seahawks. It should be big, big, big for these two, and they will be paying close attention to that here. In any case, what do you think? Do the Retardinals take it home, or is it the 69ers on this one?
Oh boy. You know what? I'm gonna be hanging out with Alex in Paradise, and I want the vibes to be up. So, I mean, we're starting off the week. Monday is your wedding. That'll be the end of week 4, and then we have a whole week in Jamaica to look forward to week 5. But if everyone except for Corey and Dylan are coming off of wins, then great times, great times to be had by all. So. I'm Team Alex here. I think Daniel Jones keeps doing.
Vibes up, Niners up, newbie down. No retardable victory this week, says Ricky, and I'm with you. Down with Sal on this one. So we're predicting Alex there. That means the Ball Hogs win and the 69ers win on this one. Let's talk about the apple bottom jeans versus the sorcerers. I think I know which way you're going to lean on this one.
I already said it, man. I think Corey will have a lot. He won't stress out nearly as much about this if he loses here. So for the sake of vibes, it's got to be me. I will stress out. But no, I looked at his team. I've been looking at obviously. He's got a lot of red in the matchup department. His team is primed to have a tough week, low scoring, but that only ever means that they're gonna surprise you and put up, 15 points where they're supposed to put up 10 and 25 points where they're supposed to put up 7, whatever. Like it's gonna be it should be a good battle. I'm excited to go through it with Corey. Maybe we catch a couple games down there, maybe we won't, but at least have something to rib each other about as we go through. I'm hoping for it to be competitive beyond all else, and yeah, Drake May's just gonna take it home for me. That's the hope.
Well, you're definitely going to be interested in that Carolina New England game that we are already talking about being a big factor in the previous matchup. I did notice that you guys got quite a few Saints going between the two of you. You got Rashid Shaheed, Jawan Johnson, and Alvin Kamara all going against Buffalo. You're hoping that that's another boat race like they've already been a part of a few times this season here. Corey's got Justin Herbert and Cam Scatterbo facing off against each other in the same matchup on Sunday. And yeah, Monday night when we are dancing our butts off in Jamaica at the reception, there's two games going on. There's the Dolphins versus the Jets, and there's the Bengals versus the Broncos. Corey's got a couple guys going in both of those games here. But we'll see if he's already done and buried by that point by the sorcerers. You don't have anyone going on Monday. You'll have a conclusion Sunday night. Oh, besides your last IDP guy. Gosh, if you're just
Had to
depending
have
on
him.
that at the end, that's why you went and picked him up, because you wanted
Had
some
to have
Monday
him.
night action.
I need some skin in the game, man.
Oh
And
my god.
you know what? It is gonna matter because I'm pretty sure that Jake Browning's gonna throw a few picks, and throw my hand in there. I think the free safety uh, comes away with at least one of them.
Wow. Well, that's another called shot for you here. We'll see if it pays off. You are projected to win. I'll go ahead
Hey,
and side with you on this one as well here.
called called shots. We didn't look at it too closely. I did fret over Matthew Golden going in. Uh, he kind of did well last week. Not really. It's his best week of his professional career, but against Dallas Sunday night, it's golden time, man. He's definitely gonna lap Shaheed at the very least, but I'm looking for him to get into the end zone for the first time and probably crack 100 yards. Just average stuff. Big 16-point week coming for my boy.
All right, you heard it here first. The breakout game is coming for Matthew Golden. This is the premiere of him being a superstar in the NFL. And
Week 4.
Ricky is going to be getting all the points for it in this matchup here. So go ahead and book it, ladies and gentlemen. That's
Book
what's
it.
happening with that one. Book it. All right, we got Team Joe Biden coming up next against the Tampa Trap House. Chris will also be with us in Jamaica here, sweating this one out in the sand. He's got, let's see here, Caleb Williams still going for him against the Raiders. That's a matchup against a team that has looked beatable for sure. An opportunity for another big performance out of him. James Cook has been on fire to start the season. We talked about that New Orleans and Buffalo match being important for a lot of reasons. People starting Buffalo pieces all over the place, which is not surprising. But what is surprising to me is I do see quite a bit of success out of the fantasy assets out of the Saints here. I mean, like we just talked about, Kamara is someone you can start. Jawan Johnson, someone you can start. Rashid Shaheed, someone you can put out there. Chris Olave scored 16 points last week. I mean, say what you want, but they're dealing, man. Other teams have bigger problems than what they're frying right now. So we'll see what happens in that game. Lad McConkey looking for a bounce back performance after being the third target on the team for 3 straight weeks, basically. And Tucker Kraft looking to be fully recovered from that knee injury that kind of hobbled him during practice last week and partially contributed to the poor performance in that game. Some could say. I wasn't there. I don't know for sure. But in any case here, he's still got pretty much the same guys going in. Wan'Dale Robinson still getting the start despite some other guys being picked up. We'll see if he swaps that out for Jalen Waddle. We'll see if Ferguson gets in for Tucker Kraft or if he's going to keep everything the same. I don't know if he's even adjusted his lineup at all yet or tinkered with it, or if this is just how he wants to do. He wants to run it again. Got his 2 wins, and maybe he wants to run it back.
Everyone hates free Dunkin' Donuts, man. All you got to do is just start a waiver guy and win. Come on. It's easy.
Yeah, win and have the best one, and then you get it there. But if there's only one of you guys doing it, then easy enough. We got Nate going over on this side with the lower projection here, only 123 points. Suffering from Chase Brown's projected drop off here. Alec Iomanor has not been someone who's been projected a ton, but he's been scoring, so we'll see if that's made up in the end there. Zach Charbonnet getting put on, going for tonight here. Swapped out from Andre Stevenson. Swapped
Sterling Shepard's in here.
Sterling Shepard getting in from the waiver. Could be a waiver option for him there. Aiden Hutchinson getting swapped back in. So he's made some moves. He's got some things changed up, and he could be heading in a different direction. But projected the loss here. Am I cruel enough to say that he will drop this one as well and retain 12th by himself. I think I am. This is tough. This is a lot of tough matchups here.
It's
Gosh,
gonna
I
come
don't
down
like
to
it for
Monday night.
anyone.
It's
It
gonna come down
could.
to Monday night. He needs Tyreek Hill and Chase Brown to both produce Monday night to have a
Yeah.
chance here, I think. I mean, Hurts into Tampa Bay. I think that could be a high-scoring Jalen Hurts game. Gibbs into Cleveland. I think Gibbs can get around Myles Garrett.
Might be his
Okay,
worst
but
game of the year.
it's probably gonna be one of his floor games. It could be. Like, he could ceiling out though. Don't get me wrong. I'm not counting Gibbs out by any means. But it's a tough matchup. Cleveland is kind of just drags everyone down into a wet noodle fight every week. That's just how they play
Wet
their
Noodle Fight of the
game.
Week.
Yeah, that's Cleveland. Um, so we'll see here. I mean, I don't know. If James Cook doesn't score 2 touchdowns this week, maybe he doesn't propel him forward. Washington hasn't been easy to run on, and Lad McConkey isn't getting, the lion's share of the volume anymore. So uh, there's some iffy stuff here on Chris's side. I don't know. It's a tough one. These guys are either going to be slugging it out or wet noodle fighting, I think.
Yeah, it's not a particularly high projection for either one of them here, so the betting man would go on the low end on that one. But
The betting man would take 100 yards over for Matthew Golden and just cash that.
oh man, you're doubling down on that Matthew Golden shot here. As for this matchup, I don't know who I got on this one. I mean, I want to say the Trap House just rides the momentum. I said I wasn't sure if I could do it, but I think Joe Biden goes down again on this one.
Island vibes, man. I'm Trap House here just because I got to look at Chris all week. Nate, if you would have booked a trip to Jamaica, I would have gone you. We're vibing in Jamaica, man.
Yeah, you gotta you gotta pay to get our recommendation of victory here.
Yeah.
That's
Anyone drinking Red Stripe with me in a pool next week is getting my getting my vote.
Getting
I'm
our
sorry.
vote of confidence. That's incredible. Well, yeah, no, absolutely no bias there for that. But the Tampa Trap House getting projected for the win here. All right, we got 4 teams now that are completely separate from the event, so we can be totally unbiased in our views. Bill Cosby sleepers win this one. Let's go ahead and look at the chins. No, okay. No, let's look at this one for real. It's the sleepers versus the Basketball Americans, who have been struggling mightily. He trades for Javonte Williams and then has his first rough week of the season. Rough stuff to see there. And he's got an empty wide receiver slot here that he has got to make a decision on. Alec Pierce also may not be someone he wants to move forward with as well. So let's take a look at what he's got going on down here. He picked up Trey Tucker. He possibly has Chris Godwin coming back. He also picked up Cavante Turpin and Tyquan Thornton. Just really going with the shotgun approach on these wide receivers. Dropped everything else he was holding just to try to get one good wide receiver off the waivers. Who does he put in here? Does he just stick with the plan from the draft, and that is Chris Godwin as soon as he comes back?
If I'm Riley here, first of all, not a Coleman believer, so that might factor in here. Also, who's the other flex down there that you brought up?
Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce. Eesh, into the Rams? I don't know,
Well,
man.
and he got a concussion last week, so I don't even know if he's going to play this week.
Daniel Jones has been balling out, but Alec Pierce's entire production relies on him getting like a 60-yard touchdown bomb pass thrown to him, and I just don't think that's Daniel Jones. Maybe I haven't been watching enough. Is he pushing the ball down the field a bunch?
Really,
No?
he's just making
just
some accurate crossers and, doing
Right.
game management stuff.
I'm benching Alec and Keon here. I'm putting in Tyquan and Chris Godwin. And if you're going to pick up Tucker, toss him in. Chicago's easy enough. So triple out like that. That's Taekwon and Trey. Double waiver warriors. I mean,
Bam.
what do you got to lose, man?
You
Go
picked him
balls
up to
out.
play him. Yeah, I agree with you here. Can these guys that have been letting you down and start these guys that you picked up this week that you think are hot, that you think are options for you? They're projected well enough. They're in good enough matchups. Cavante Turpin, I might skip out on, even though he's been seeing some success and is projected the highest of
Green
all
Bay.
these guys. Yeah, Green
Green Bay's
Bay
defense.
is just savage. Though they're missing CeeDee Lamb, so he might get some more volume too. Really, yeah, I mean, I would just ship as many of these guys that you like looking at their face and put them up here and get Keon out, get Alec Pierce out, and fill that empty slot. And you might have a chance against the sleepers. He's getting Dobbins put in. He's got Fields running it back on Monday night for both of those guys. Kenneth Walker going tonight. He did bring him up from the flex slot, so that means he might have... No, he just moved Travis Etienne down. He's being a smart fantasy player. I do love to see this. He moved his earlier player up into the main slot here and moved his later players down into the flex slots.
Yeah, he's got Dobbins in Monday night though, up in his RB slot.
Yeah,
So
that's a little
who knows?
rough.
All right, but hey, you do want to move him down. I mean, you'll see like Christian McCaffrey. I think is being flexed for me this week or something like that because he's in a later slot. It doesn't matter where they are, guys. I know, like sometimes I line stuff up because I want to see matchups and stuff like that, but leave your options open. And, Devon Achan's going against me. He's a Monday night thing. What if he just randomly, gets hit by a car on his way to the stadium, and you need to slide Jalen Wright in there? That's tough. You much rather throw I don't know, whoever, Arian Smith or Alan Lazard in there or something.
Not
Give
your
yourself
strongest argument, but I get
No,
what you're
they fell
saying there.
apart. Miami and the Jets are bad.
That's a bad team to try to replace from. But that means you also have any option that's available. You could pick up Pat Bryant off waivers or something and get him going from that Broncos versus Bengals game. There's somebody out there. If he's in a flex slot, you got all sorts of options. Even tight ends become available to you there. But if he's clogging up an RB slot, you got to go pick up a backup RB and hope that you're the one to get him. And that ends up being a little more inconvenient. Let's move on from the theory of fantasy here and just finish up with this matchup. I do think the sleepers take it. They've been performing strong here, and the Basketball Americans are still struggling to put something together. We'll see if all of the previous success from last week for all of these waiver guys adds up to anything for him, and if Godwin can come back strong. But until then, it might be tough sledding for Riley here.
I think if you're going to take down the cause, it's going to have to be with a moonshot here. He's riding high. You're not going to beat him with your floor plays. Shoot for the moon.
Shoot for the moon. Let's see if he can get it done, or if he moves down to 2-6 after this one. If he can hand the Cosbys their first loss. Okay, last matchup to talk about here. It is Lehman and the Crimson Chins versus the Bower of London. Tyke taking Patrick Mahomes out for another spin. Hopefully he doesn't go to 1-3, or the Baltimore Ravens will. Either one of those teams going down to 1-3 in week 4 is something that no one saw coming here, but I'm sure Eric wants Patrick Mahomes to uncork it and take it to the Ravens. Saquon Barkley versus the Bucks. That's a tough matchup, man. They got a tough front line to run against on that defense there. And you're still depending on Drake London. Terry McLaurin, I don't think he's going to play, man. I really don't think he's going to play this week, which means you're looking for other options. And what does he have? Maybe Cooper Kupp. DJ Moore can come back in. I know he started last week.
Yeah, he moved Pittman up and in, but he moved him up for DJ Moore. So I don't know. I think you're right. McLaurin probably comes out. Moore should be fine. He's designed into the offense, so I think that'll be okay for you. Core muscle specialist. Yeah, it doesn't look good. It's a whole lot of text explaining how this guy is going to play football next week.
Even more text. Oh man.
So I don't know. More Colts going on here. You got Rome on the other side. Maybe he Rome versus DJ because that just feels intimidating. He probably picked DJ more before Rome was picked up too. Again, kind of embarrassing. But Lehman called his shots on a lot of guys this season. He was at the turn. He took Ibuka. He took Sutton. Those were both early. He took Trey probably fell to him at a slide. That was pretty good for him. I feel like there was someone else. Oh, he reached on Bucky a little bit too. But I don't know. Lehman's putting it together. Lehman's big weakness, I think, is his running back core. He's got Bucky. He needs him to look like Bucky Prime, which I don't think he really has this season. He's been serviceable, but hasn't been an absolute stud. Is that an 18-point game in there? Yeah. All right. And he's working with 1 touchdown this season. He just needs like a 2-touchdown game from Bucky, I think, to really make up for the fact that he went hero RB here, and Najee went down. So, it's Eric is favored here, and I can see why. His team is strong. I don't think his 0-4-2 record, which is really 1-5, indicates exactly the strength of his team here. It's early on, matchups, weird variants and stuff like that, but Drake London and Saquon Barkley could combine for 50 points pretty easily, and last week they combined for like 19. So I don't know. This one I lean Tyke. I don't think Lehman can hold them under the water until the bubbles stop.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I was projecting the Chins to win this. I think that the Bower of London falls apart on this one. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring week for Saquon Barkley. I think that Tony Pollard is going to struggle against that strong defensive line from Houston. And I don't think Terry McLaurin is even going to play, so he's going to end up with some backup options. I think it's going to be another 8-point week from Bowers, and I think he's just going to fall short of his projections here. And I'm happy to attempt the Lehman curse again and pick him to win. So go Chins by a million. Let's get it done. And that is that matchup. Closer to the bottom of the standings here. That
Lehman's only saving grace is that Jordan Love is going to throw 200 yards to Matt Golden, and 2 touchdowns. It's going to be great. The number is going to go up each time I talk about it.
It just keeps you and Matthew Golden both caught a fish this big.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, in any case, that's all of our matchups for the week. An exciting week in the Dimmadome, an exciting week for a lot of us in real life, and shaping up to be the best week of my life so far. I can't wait to spend it with a lot of you guys here. Maybe sneak some football in here or there. But Ricky, you got anything else to say to the lads before we let them go?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll see half of you in paradise. Congratulations, Luke, on bringing us all down there and getting married. That's good. I'm looking forward to it. And, oh, yeah, go Sorcerers. Oh, and Matthew Golden, 303 touchdowns incoming.
Oh my God, you need to be stopped. Here comes the outro. We are out of here. I hope everybody has a great night, a great week. Enjoy the game and enjoy paradise with us this week, everyone who's coming. Love you all. Love you, Raina. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you for listening to the DFL Breakdown. Tune in next week for more.